Hi guys, I'm Aussie Villain and welcome back to your run on The Impossible Dream. Today it is a transfer special as we move from Season 8 into Season 9, a season that will see us back in the Champions League. And unlike previous seasons, we know we're going to be in the league phase. No qualifying. We've got one of the automatic spots as league champions, and that is huge. We can plan for that, budget for it and whatnot. And let's have a quick look at, let's get this underway, and then we'll have a quick look at what we've got here. We know some things that are already done.
Jarune, za tebe mi dijete diše, tu je važno samo jedno, nogomet i ništa više. Jarune.
So, finances wise, we've got 8.2 million to spend. Now, we are committed to spending a smidge over the wage budget right now. Obviously, we've got room. We can move things around. But let's just catch up with what we know is already happening this window, because we've got some deals that are done. Now, the first, as we saw, was the last episode or episode before that, Sergio Montal, 6 million from Estudiantes. He's coming in, really promising young midfielder, and he's going to expect to play, which means somebody's going to have to drop out. And I'm kind of at this stage looking at Palumbo and thinking, have you served your purpose? But anyway, that may or may not happen. The other one we've signed is in midfield anyway, is Luka Zinko. Now, he is here to be a central midfielder, and he is 1.1 million, 19 years old, already Slovenian international. He hasn't signed as a regular starter. I think he signed as a squad player, which is absolutely perfect because, I think as that left-sided Mazzella sort of player, he's very, very well-rounded, potentially going to get better as well. And the other one that's happened that is new to you guys is we've signed a goalkeeper, Tibor Pinter. It's probably not how you pronounce it, but he's an 18-year-old Serbian. We've signed him from Partizan, 4.6 million. He is signed as the backup, and I think that's obviously a very good thing because we know we've got is he fairly? I don't know if we have a fairly solid goalkeeper. We've got a goalkeeper, and there's no pressure on this guy now. He can have a season or two to develop as the backup. If he works out, brilliant, he'll be first choice. If he doesn't, then 4.6 million is a little bit of money for a goalkeeper. But I think if we've got the money and there's a high potential goalkeeper, let's remember he's only 18, then I think this is the right thing to do. But obviously only time will tell on that front. But fairly confident he's going to be a useful signing for us as well. So that's what we know is going to happen. We've got a lot to do to try and get ourselves Champions League ready, and we probably need to get rid of some more senior players anyway to make room for everybody. Alright, so the league season has officially wrapped up. The playoff to see who's up and who's down. It was 7-1 that Bordeaux beat Rodez, so comprehensive, I think you can say. So yeah, they'll just be the one up and one down for next season. But there are some awards through the league for the end of the season. Siraj has won the Croatian First League Player of the Year. Not bad for an 18-year-old. That's not Young Player of the Year either. I assume he's going to win that as well. Bertic has won the league's Golden Boot with 14 goals from 21 games, so well done to him. The team of the season, so we had Bosniak and Bertic are the only two, which is a bit harsh, I would have thought, considering we dominated the league. I've won Manager of the Year, so well done to me, and that is more or less that. The other thing down here was that Torres set a new league record for highest average match rating, beating Roberts's previous record. And was this a league record? This was just a Jarun record, I think, but 3 league defeats is a new team low as well. So that was a very, very good season in the league, wasn't it? All right, so a quick update of just a few things here. Now, the French Youth Invitational that happens, it's that youth tournament happens at the start of every summer. That has happened, and one of our players was the best player. So needless to say, we have just offered him a very long-term contract. He's the best young player at what is, I think it was anyway, I don't know if it's still is renowned as like the best youth tournament outside of a World Cup, probably quality-wise, even including a World Cup across the board kind of thing. There's no real weak teams typically. And so anyway, we've quickly looked to tie him down. But that's that. Now, in terms of European football, the league has moved up one place into the top 10, which is good. But perhaps even more crucially, in terms of a way that the game is probably programmed, we've moved up a star. So it's now a 3.5-star rated league rather than a 3-star rated league. I imagine that's going to help out quite a bit. So, time will tell, but that can only be a good thing. Now, there's the other European stuff here. We've moved up 11 places to 35th. So well done us on that one. Spain and England, and homegrown players for the Champions League. We can see everybody there who is homegrown and what they're homegrown as. Yeah, we haven't got any bids coming in yet for anybody, I don't think, but we definitely are going to have some big decisions to make. But we have had a player leave. And I think this is it this time. Priscilla, we've sold him to Sarajevo. We made a massive loss on him. I think we paid 350 grand for him. We're selling him back to the... No, that's Sarajevo is that Serbia? Where No, it's Bosnia. Yeah, Bosnia. So he's going back to the Bosnian league, which is where we got him from Mostar. And yeah, so he's been a very good player for us off and on. You know, he's a good player in that he's sort of filled the gap when we've needed him to in goal. But ultimately, at this point, we better have moved past him because we should be doing a lot better than him, shouldn't we? So that's that. League's on the up. Let's hope that we can get some better players as a result of it. Alright, so we are at June 19th, which means transfer window has opened, and our 3 new signings have officially joined us. So Zinko is, well, we can see him there. Maybe not quite as good as the scouts were saying in terms of the star ratings, but that's okay. Tibor Pinter. Yeah, see, the scouts really like him. So let's hope that he's long-term. He's our answer to the goalkeeping question. And then Montel, again, yeah, scouts got him spot on. And he's going to be a very, very good signing for us. So, yeah, that's a record in transfer spending as well. This is still counting on the last season, as in Season 8. We haven't ticked over to Season 9 yet on that front. And we are looking to sell this guy, among others. He was, we may remember we signed him on a free transfer from AC Milan. There's a little bit of potential there, but he's nowhere near our first team, so the potential's going to be cashed in on, and hopefully he'll develop somewhere else. Alright, so we are at July 1st, which means, of course, contracts expire, all that sort of stuff. Now, Triantis, I didn't get anything in the game to tell me this has happened, and Jakic has done the same thing. They've negotiated a contract at the end of their deal, which is fine, you know, like we were going to lose him for free anyway, but he's gone to Lazio. So, I wasn't not expecting him to leave, but I was surprised to see that he'd agreed a deal somewhere else. Like I say, Jakic, he's old anyway, so he's going to be leaving. Now, the other players, of course, obviously, we release players at this point. The only one that's of some note is this right back. He's been out on loan a couple of times. He's just not quite good enough for us, even taking into account the fact he would be club trained for Europe. So, yeah, so he's been released. Now, the other player that has just come back from loan, now you may or may not remember that we signed this guy, is Eric Lacko. Now, he is another striking option. We signed him for 1.1 million from Slaven Bratislava. We sent him back there on loan. So he's here with us now, and yeah, we'll see what we can do with him in pre-season. I suspect we want to keep him and not maybe loan him back out, and it might be a case of some of our other younger strikers that have come through our academy, we want to loan them out. But we've got to take in, well, I've got to remember anyway, with European football, someone's going to have to, you know, we have to be able to register players. So it might be that that some of the young academy kids need to stay so we can fill out that roster. But that's a me problem, and I will hopefully deal with it accordingly. I'll almost certainly stuff it up. Look, if I'm being honest, this whole transfer window is just becoming a bit of the pain in the backside, you know? Like, I'm trying to build a squad. I think I've found a position where we can strengthen. A bid comes in for one of my better players. They kick off. They want to leave. And then I'm chasing my tail, trying to get my squad together here. I just wish the players would be happy. The bigger teams would just leave my players alone. Everybody could be happy, and we could get on with life. But, yeah, this is just ridiculous. It's pissing me off, to be honest. Alright, so this is proving to be one of the most frustrating transfer windows I think I've ever had. So we can see here, this is just one example. Aston Villa wants Siraj. Now, Siraj has now kicked off. £4 million. There's nowhere near enough money for him anyway. But he's unhappy because he wants to go and join them. And this is just sort of happening throughout the team. So it's like, I'm finding it very difficult to know who I can sell and who I can't. So, yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to play the Super Cup. We're going to have a bit of so I can sort of go through things and talk things through a little bit there. Some good news is that Ayasa moved on, so we've got half of that fee. So he's in the end worked out a decent signing because we sold him for 2 point something, and we've got basically doubled the fee. So yeah, that's good. Ayasa is making some money for us. But let's have a look here. This will give us an idea of what I think is our best team right now and what we can do with it. So 4-2-3-1 is what we're expecting from Dinamo Zagreb. This is the team we're sending out. So Pinta is going to go in goal because Utunen has just come back from injury. And to be honest, I want to have a proper look at Pinta and see if he is able to be our number one this year. Butchman and Williams as the back two. Torres and Holt, I think, is going to be first choice down that left-hand side. We've got to have a conversation about that position as well. Sithole, Montel, Zinco, both making their first appearances for the club. Siraj, Lacko as the deep-lying forward, and Bertic, another one that is just constantly having bids coming in for him. He's not unhappy yet, but you can see he's headed that way. It's very, very frustrating. All right, so we can see the team sheets here. Alex Mariba is still there, so they don't look like. Oh, there's a few different names in there. Maybe there are a few names that are different. All right, let's do this one for the fans, and because this is one of those free hit trophies, isn't it? It really is just a bit of a glorified friendly. So yeah, we'll have a look at this and see how we go. Now, in terms of what we do, so I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, maybe so if we start up front, for example, Akbarsley is maybe someone that we can look to cash in on, but. Then if we get a situation where Bertic is going to kick off and wants to leave, I kind of need Akbarsley, to play that deep-lying forward role. Matanovic, I think at this point is unsafe. He has to stay because he's happy to stay as much as anything else when bids come in for him. So I think Holt, this is the thing with our left back. So Holt is a very good crosser of the ball. And Delavabora is not. It's not that and I think I've said this before. Delavabora is very strong across the board. No real weakness, but no real strength. And that was close. And we kind of have too many left backs. So we've got that Reyes guy I signed for 1.6 million or something, which is looking like a bit of a not great signing right now. Are we trapping them inside? We are not, so we'll do that now. And then we've got Rupnik, who's really, really quick. So what I'm thinking at left back is we cash in on Delavabora because Holt can cross a ball and Rupnik is quick. He can cross a ball, maybe not as good as some others. But ultimately, when we're playing in this way, what we want our fullbacks or wingbacks to do is basically get down the side and cross a ball in. So Rupnik's got the pace to get down the side, and Holt, as we hopefully are about to see here, has a very good cross on him, though we didn't really see it there. So I'm thinking those two kind of make sense to keep as first choice. We do have a very promising left back in the academy as well, plus Reyes. So we need to get rid of one of them. And I just think Delavabora, he's also in the last year of his contract. So I think we will probably look to cash in on him. The other problem position we have obviously is in midfield, as Montel has a chance. Nice ball there for Torres, who has, is it an own goal? It is an own goal. So that is very, very nice. We've taken the lead midway through the first half, and it is 1-0. The other problem we have, of course, is over on the right-hand side, because Torres obviously is not someone we want to sell. His transfer value is up to close to 40 million right now. So we don't want to sell him, but he is someone that might actually kick off and we need to sell. Now, that's not going to happen immediately because he's not someone that's contract is up anytime soon. Because one thing I've noticed in this version of the game, and it's a good thing I think as well, it's more realistic, is that players are more inclined to just say, I'm not signing a new contract with you, I want to leave and go to a bigger club, which is what happens. It's frustrating, but it is actually what happens. So we're not in any risk of losing him right now, but then for example, Antwi, whose transfer value is getting up to a very nice place, I don't want to sell him, then find out that that Torres is going to, A, he might kick off and be useless to us, or B, we might get a bit of £50 million, in which case I guess we can just sign another right back, we'll have money to burn. But yeah, I'm finding this sort of all over the field. I'm almost scared to sell players because I don't want to sell someone like Akbarsley, lose Bertic, and then Torres maybe should have done a little bit better there. Or did it hit? What's that come back off of then? As Butchman with a intelligent foul there, I think is the way to say that one. And so it's proving to be a very, 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 very tricky transfer window to navigate. And I think part of the problem too is that because we have so many good young academy players, and that's hit the crossbar. It's awkward to know who's ready to play, who we can rely on to play. and who we who we maybe look to loan out, and then equally, are there players that just aren't going to quite ever be good enough, and so we need to kind of sell them on, and that again is just proving to be very difficult to know it when they're so young. Like I think Brigic, excuse me, is maybe someone that we can look to sell on. But then that sort of relies on Fatakanti and Sithole being as Zinco with a good effort. Yeah, that relies on Fatakanti and Sithole being the two halfback sort of defensive midfielders. But they both could want to leave at any point because they're both getting interest, mostly from the Middle East, to be fair. But, they are still both getting interest. So, again, I don't really want to sell Brigic with the risk of losing them as well and then needing him, but then equally I don't want to keep him and just sort of when we could cash in on him and free up space for a younger midfielder to play. Now we don't have that many. The only real young midfielder we have is Novak. Now he is one that I am thinking of loaning out to Bordeaux this season, as that's some nice play, and Bertie just hit the crossbar. This has all the makings of us getting mugged off late on here, hasn't it? As Torres gets back. Montel can't quite get there for that. Another one would be Skoko. I'd be, at this point, almost not happy, but willing to sell Skoko. Oh, that was some tricky feet as they've hit the post. What is going on? There's a magnet in the ball, I think. It's sucking it into the post for both teams. But then if Siraj leaves, we kind of are going to need Skoko to sort of be that backup in the league. I don't think Skoko is good enough to be sort of first choice for Europe. I think that realization is slowly coming around. But then we've got the likes of Kakovenga, 28, who's brilliant for us, maybe not attribute-wise, but he does love an injury as well. So is that someone we can cash in on? Renoki is leaving at the end of the season anyway. His contract is up, and I'm almost happy just to let that run down. I'm not too concerned what happens with that. Oh, we hit the post again there with Bertic. Or was the goalkeeper getting a fingertip on that one, maybe? Here comes Torres forward. Torres, he's done brilliantly. Oh, and it was almost a goal that we knew nothing about. So it's as I say, it's just proving to be a very, very frustrating window. Skolova, by the way, is becoming a very, very good centre-back, and that's the benefit of sending these guys out on loan for a season at Bordeaux. I'd say Skolova is, if not the third choice centre-back right now, pretty close to it. You might still have Fatakanti just in front of him, as Lacko has a go, and that wasn't a mile away either. So we're seeing some decent things for a first appearance for a few of these guys. Montel's playing a 7.7, and he's playing as that deep-lying playmaker, so he's going to be doing things we don't necessarily see, as that has somehow stayed out as well. Zinco maybe, although he's not a natural central midfielder, so he may take a little bit of time to learn that role, as he gets a nice block on that though. And another cross comes in, and Holt half clears it. And Torres nicks it away and completes the job. Bertic is he going to get a sulk on? See, this is going to be the problem, isn't it? As Siraj is now injured. Well, the good news is that if it's serious, it's going to take Aston Villa potential lower leg injury. That might save us having to sell him to Villa. That's something. Hopefully, it's not too serious. But yeah, as I say, it's just proving to be very, very. Very, very tricky knowing exactly what to do. And it's not like we're going to... I mean, Torres would be the exception to the rule. But it's not like we're going to sell players for huge money that we can just go out and buy a good replacement. Most of them, when sort of max, we'd be looking at 5-6 million transfer fees. Now, given that most of these players we've signed for under $1 million, that's still... and it is Skoko. Never mind, maybe you can play in the Champions League. He makes it 2-0 late on, and that should be that. So it's not like this is sort of life-changing money that we're getting that's going to enable us to go and sign whoever we want. They're still, relatively small fees, and we're at that point that we always get to in an impossible dream, where it's difficult to afford a transfer fee and the wages that better players are going to want. which is why we tend to have to sign young players because their salary demands are less, which is fine. That's what we've always done in the Impossible Dream and develop players through. But it does make it a little bit more challenging to sort of find the right players to sign all the time. And then, as I say, there's always that issue of you've got academy players, but are they ready? We saw Turpic looked at and nailed on, didn't he? He would come in and do a good job for us, and he just wasn't ready when we first called him in. Then he had a bit of an injury problem, and even now he's probably still struggling to recover from that. He's wanted by Porto, so he's still obviously, you know, highly thought of around Europe, but yeah, it's tricky, very, very tricky. But we've still got a week to go before the first game of the season, and there we go. We've lifted our first trophy of the season as well. So always nice to get an early win over Dinamo as well. Is that 5 in a row now we've beaten them as well? Now the Siraj injury, 3 weeks. That could be worse. It's not a broken bone, so I think we'll take that as a win. And then, yeah, we've got our debutants that, as I say, mostly did well, didn't they? Clean sheet for Pinta on debut as well. Holt got man of the match, so that just sort of justifies that decision a little bit, I think. And there we go. We've still got a little bit of time to go in the transfer window, so there's still a chance for us to get something done. The thing is, it's more likely to be outs than ins, I think, because we've just got so many players. I keep signing players and kids come through in the same position. It's ridiculous. We have breaking news out of Jarun this evening as David Della Vabora leaves the club to join Udinese for £5 million. Now, manager Aussie Villain had this to say just moments ago. Look, I mean, Dave's been a tremendous part of this club, of this history of this club, and he'll be fondly remembered, that's for sure. But, you know, we added a 0 onto the transfer fee. We paid for him, and I think it's a good deal for us. So, yeah, we wish him well in his future. And just a bit of a warning for the other clubs out there. Stop bidding for Rupnik. I'm not selling any more left-backs now. So there we go. We've let Della Vabora go. £5 million for a player in the last year of his contract, 28 years old. It all kind of added up to make sense. And like I said during the Dinamo game, we've got 2 ready-made options to go in Rupnik and Holt. We've got some youngsters as well. And I've got nothing but good things to say about him. He was brilliant for us. He really, really was. But I think just the timing of his contract up with other players coming through, it just all made a little bit of sense that it was his time. So there we go. Della Vabora's off to Italy. All right, so we are now at game day of our first game of the season, which is against Bordeaux, so we'll get to see some of our youngsters there. One other player is left is Ramsey. We signed him for, I think it was £2,000, and he's moved on for just under $500,000, potentially rising to over $500,000, so that's fine. He spent last season, or second half, but anyway, on loan at Istra. So, yeah, good luck to him and his future at Variston. But let's have a look at what we've done so far. Most of it's going to involve just catching up on some loans out. And a couple of that left here, Jakic, we knew he was leaving, which is a bit of a I would like to keep him as a coach, to be honest, but he went off to Brazil to play, so good luck to him. Now, the youngsters that have gone off to Bordeaux, we've sent Ternitsky off, young centre-back. They've done really well for our centre-backs going there on loan, so he's there along with Novak, so hopefully both those guys will get full seasons and come back to us better players for it. We did let Marian Ilic go. We saw him briefly in the first team, was mildly impressive, but ultimately we've got much better players. And then, yeah, we've seen Della Vabora and Ramsey, and this guy's just a no-hoper. I just sent out, so I don't have to look at him, basically. So that is that. The finances are looking okay. Obviously, the window is still open. We've got 13 million to spend, 10 million in the bank, and we've got the wages down a little bit. So we've got about 25 grand a week to spend. So we've probably got one good, really good player if the player does come up for us somewhere, but I'm not sure where that's going to happen. I don't know that we have anybody that is any position that is desperately in need of an upgrade. So if we do have a look at players that are interested in transfers, you can see what I mean about the best available players for us are all very, very expensive. This guy's a young goalkeeper. Now, we've already just signed Pinta, so I don't really see the sense in signing another young goalkeeper at this point. But yeah, it's, I mean, you look at that 6 grand to 2.3 million. I mean, which end of the market is that going to end up on? Obviously, it's going to be closer to the 3 million, isn't it? And again, it's a left-sided fullback. We don't need them. We've got so many fullbacks. It's ridiculous. So let's go see exactly how many we do have. Let's have a look at our team to start the season. And we'll start with goalkeeper. Utunen has the jersey for now, though he's under big pressure for it, has to be said. Pinta, we'll see how he starts. I think, as I said when I signed him, long term, I think he is going to be our guy. And then we've got Pulic, who is potentially quite good. He's just always injured. And then Kosic, who is potentially quite good, but injured at the moment. So those will be the four, I think. And Santa Maria, we signed him as... he's just not worked out at all. So yeah, there's a Penix signing when Ayasa left, I think, if I remember correctly. Centre-backs, which side did I set up? This side. So Reece Williams, we know is probably coming, he's closer to the end of his career than the start of it. In terms of us, he's probably coming towards the end as well. But he'll be here for this year with Butchman as our first choice centre-backs. Then we've got Fatakanti, who can fill in there very nicely for us if needed. And then we've got the youngsters, Skolaba, who is training on very nice. Benasek, who is still got a little bit of potential. I'm increasingly becoming less hopeful that he's going to make it with us, to be honest. So we'll see what happens there. And then the next peg off the rank, or whatever you were saying, is Tankovic. He's only just 16. But we'll see what we get. Again, a potentially very good young centre-back. Over to left-back, we've got our two main options in Rupnik. He is the pace. Holt, he is the crossing ability. And then we've got a couple of others that are there. Reyes, increasingly looking like 1.6 million. I didn't spend well. And this is the youngster that's coming through the academy as well. Yeah, for a 16-year-old, there's a little bit to like about him as well. Over to the right side, Torres, he is without a doubt our star man. Look at that transfer value. He will be a big part of any success we have this season. Antwi is here for now. We'll see what happens with him. And then we've got Kovacic, who we just signed last season, and I do really like him as well. So if we were to sell somebody here, I'm thinking it's possibly Antwi. But there's a chance that we keep all three of them as well. Then we go to defensive midfielder, the halfback, or whatever sort of role we're using at the time. So Stithole is obviously the main man here. Then we've got Fatakanti, who can do a very good job sharing that role with him. And then we come into the youngsters. Brigic, who's back from his second season loan at Bordeaux. 22 years old. He's probably not going to quite make it, but we'll see when it comes to registering a Champions League or European squad. He might be valuable there. And then we've got a couple of youngsters. The fickle personality there is not great. We've got one youngster. Then we've got Bosniak and Nokia. I'll have a look at them just here because they can fill in that position as well. So further forward in midfield, we've got too many options here, I think. So we've got Montel, who we know is going to be a star. Palumbo, who has been a star for us, but at 29, is he coming towards the end of his time with us? Kakavenga at 28, is he coming towards the end of his time with us, perhaps? Bosniak is only 25, but does do a good job in the league. Maybe a little short for the Champions League, though. Then Zinko is another of the new signings. He'll take some time to adjust to becoming a central midfielder, but I think there's a very good one there. Then we've got Ranocchia. It's his last season in terms of a contract with us. Do we keep him? At 30, it's unlikely, but we'll see. And then we've got our kids, Olmarkic, who is just injury prone, unfortunately. And then a couple of the other youngsters that we have coming through the academy. We've got this guy who's unambitious and needs to change that. And then we've gone back to the top, have we? Did I show you Hawkins? I thought I did. Anyway, he's here as well. And Perso is another one. Fickle personality, could do with some fixing, but there's a little bit of potential about him. The number 10, it's all about Siraj, and we really do need him to stay. Hopefully, Villas keeps coming in with bids, though. Skoko is around, and then this is the guy that's really training on like a house on fire, to be honest, is Masevic. So he might even overtake Skoko during this season. We'll have to wait and see. Then there's a couple of others here who we've mostly seen, and we'll see more of them as we get up to striker, because this is our striking options. Bertic, for now, he's still here. Lots and lots and lots of interest in him, though, so hopefully we can fight that off. Lako, I'm fairly confident he's going to do a good job for us, so he's one of our big options. Matanovic, he is wanted by, still Rotherham? Stoke now. He's one of these, the attributes don't look fantastic, but he just gets the job done for us. Barsley is the one that might be cash-inable. We'll see what we get with that. 2 million, you can see, is what I've sort of been asking for him. There's a little bit of interest there, so we'll see what becomes of that. And then we've got our youngsters. Madza, I think, has moved to the top of that list, ahead of Turpic. And then we've got our guy that was on loan last season. Is he wanted on loan again? He's wanted on loan again. We might loan him out again. He's on $8,000 a week, so I'd like to catch on him sooner rather than later. So maybe in order to do that, he needs to stay with us and play, and we send out one or two of the other youngsters. But anyway, that's our team for now. Let me know what you think of that. We're going to, well, at least be top 2 in the league, I would have thought. But we'll be back next time to start the league campaign. It is Alberto away, then Hajduk at home. We should be getting 6 points from that, in truth. You can see our pre-season games there went fairly well. And then I think what we'll do is once we get past this, we'll come back once Europe, or maybe for the end of the transfer window, something like that, when European football starts. Because for the first time, I think, ever in the Impossible Dream, we're straight into the group stage this year. So no need to qualify. Take care.